A soldier is one who fights, ready to protect themselves and the ones they love. But there's no basic training for one of life's toughest battles, breast cancer.
We're told twice that, hey, it's just fatty tissue.
A painful and deadly disease that does not discriminate.
It was the first time that I looked at myself and saw someone that looked like they didn't feel well and were sick.
It can attack anyone, and it's not a one-step cure.
There was a scare with my oldest daughter. We felt a lump.
Soldier on standby. We're preparing you now.
You both are turning your pain into purpose being here today.
Pushing science to make sure you're safe.
This should not be painful for you, okay?
So you're not left in the dark.
If I had waited, I might not have been able to tell the story.
This is the Pink Plan. Hi everyone, I'm Beyla Walker. October is a moment to spread breast cancer awareness. It's a month dedicated to education, prevention, and support for people affected by this disease. I spoke with fighters in our area. Here are their stories.
All of the questions that they might have, I map out their. When I was 26, I had my second child, my daughter, and I was nursing her. It was probably about 3 months after she was born that I noticed a blocked milk duct, or what they thought was a blocked milk duct. It was just a nodule that came up. It was red and irritated and it hurt. They tried to do a needle aspiration and nothing came off of it. And when nothing came off of it, they did a mammogram and my mammogram was clear. And we decided we would go ahead and do a biopsy that day. And once we did, we confirmed 3 days later it was breast cancer. It was kind of hard for me because my son was 3 years old at the time and he loved my hair, and so I was more worried about what he would think. But I think it was more difficult to lose my eyebrows. I could still look healthy if I put a wig on, but if I didn't have my eyebrow hair, then I looked like a sick person for the first time.
Well, let me tell you, I actually discovered it by accident. I had a little bump that I felt underneath my arm. So I went to my family doctor. At that time, he felt it was just fatty tissue. So I called and scheduled an appointment with my gynecologist. I asked if he could just go ahead and do a mammogram, and he informed me that I had breast cancer. My first thought was, I want to be able to live and raise my kids, to see my kids grow up. And I think the fact that they were saying fast growing, it kind of alarmed me. I think if I had ignored it, I think I might not be here telling the story.
I'm joined now by some women who have been so brave enough to share their story with us today. Miss Sandy Brooks and Miss Sonia White, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Now, you all told me your stories. You let me into your homes. I want to start with you, Miss Sandy. You were 26 when you were diagnosed. Before the diagnosis, did you think that, number one, it could happen to you, and then did you think it could happen to you at such a young age?
I honestly never thought about it, just because that time there was not a lot of information about breast cancer, and self-exams were the only thing recommended to do at my age of 26, and I really didn't even know how to do that or to go about that. So I really didn't think much about it.
Mm-hmm. And you both have children, right? Miss Sonia, you have 2 daughters that I had the pleasure of meeting. So how was it with them during this time? Do they take their health a little more seriously, knowing that their mom went through this process?
Well, yeah, it's most definitely because, my daughter, my youngest, was 5 at the time, and that was back in 2007. And it just makes you aware that now there's this extra precaution that you have to take. So even at their young age now, I recommend, self-exams, just taking your health more seriously. There was a scare with my oldest daughter at one time. We felt a lump. It turned out not to be anything, just a cyst. So thankful for that. But it creates a very big awareness now for her health and, for both of their health.
Right, and you said your daughter's lump turned out not to be anything.
Correct.
But for you, that wasn't the case.
That was not the case.
Right, so you were told twice that, hey, it's just fatty tissue.
Fatty tissue.
So what made you persist and be like, hey, I know my body and I know that something's wrong?
To me, it felt like it's something that came up overnight, and I hadn't noticed it before, and I felt something under my arm. But in my mind, breast cancer did not come to, I just felt that it was something under there. It didn't feel right. What I was feeling under my arm was actually cancer in my lymph nodes, and there were already 2 tumors present in my breast. So, and it was a rapid growing cancer, so time was of the essence. So thankfully, I had a doctor that listened to me. That took me seriously, even at the age of 38, saying, yeah, let's eat, with no history of breast cancer in the family.
What do you both say to women when it comes to listening to your bodies and knowing that, hey, something might be wrong? What do you have to say to that, Sandy?
I really feel like we are equipped with really good intuition. And I think most women, if we just listen to that inner voice and that inner guidance that we have, then it's never going to steer us wrong. And that's, your story sounds very much like mine, that something just didn't feel right for me, even though I was being told that I was 26, I was too young at the time to have breast cancer. Something just didn't feel right.
We all need that family support, especially on this journey. So talk to me about that. How was your family during this time?
Incredible. Everyone did everything that they could. My daughter was 3 months old and my son was 3 years old. So everybody kind of sprang into action to figure out, okay, how do we get through this as a unit, and how do we, all work towards the same goal of getting me healthy so that, I could live a long life. And everybody was just so supportive immediately.
And what about you, Sonia? I know your daughters were there with you every step of the way.
Same. My oldest daughter, she was still in high school at the time when I got the diagnosis. She just kind of kicked into mom / sister / head of the household mother. She kind of, just took on the form of taking care of everybody, taking care of me, being my nurse. My mom was in Chicago at the time. She just dropped everything and came down here to help with the kids, help with me, my husband, my grandmother, my aunts, uncles, everybody. Having that family support is very conducive to, just getting through that hard time.
Right. We just spoke about support in the community coming together, and right now, you both are turning your pain into purpose being here today, and I want to talk to you because you help women with their eyebrows now. Talk to us about that and what you do.
I do. It became kind of like a passion project for me. I had to learn how to do it. Back then there was not a lot of tutorials on how to do it, so I had to just learn myself, and then it just became one of those things. Not only do I help women with eyebrows after chemotherapy, because sometimes after the chemo the hair doesn't grow quite as, the same way that it did before, but also I do post-mastectomy areola tattooing for people that have to go through the mastectomy process, and it's just a whole rigorous type of surgery, and it's just my way of being able to relate to those people and to be able to help them and let them know that I've been there, and there is another side of it, that it's tough getting through it for sure, but there is another side to it, and you can do things that come from this. Like, life changed completely for me, and it put me in a direction of life and my career that could not be more rewarding for me today.
Right. Now, are you all in any groups that are out there helping women right now as they go through their journey? Any advice that you would give to them?
Let people help you, and then check in with yourself. There's seems to be, and I don't know if this was the case with you, but there seems to be just this job that we take on as the patients to make everyone also let everyone know that we're okay, and sometimes it's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to cry and to mourn exactly what's happening to you in the moment, but rely on the support that you have and let people help you, and know that you don't have to be Superwoman the whole time.
For the double mastectomy, it's like a part of you is gone, and you have to mourn that. I found out being in the Reach to Recovery program, I found solace in that because I was connecting with other women that had just received their diagnosis, and you can offer them some advice that, hey, I know how you're feeling, because it's very hard for someone to tell you how to go through that when they've never been through it. So, definitely programs out there that are, there for people who have just been diagnosed or the ones that are going through it, and for the ones that have been through it. It's still good.
Yeah, well, thank you, ladies, so much for sharing your stories and being with us here today.
Thank you for having us.
Of course, we will have more Pink Plan when we come back.
We'll do 4 pictures, 2 on each side.
I took a trip to Southeast Health to get a mammogram. We discussed the process and preparation ahead of your next appointment.
Hello, how are you? I'm doing well. And so you would take a patient to their room?
Normally I would take them into the dressing room right here, and we would have them dress and ask their history, get a little history on them. And then we would go around and get the mammogram machine in there and have them come through that door for their actual exam. Let you stand right here in front. This is where we would do your mammogram.
Are my hands up? Are they down?
They're going to be down by your side. We'll do 4 pictures, 2 on each side. It does get a little uncomfortable, but should not be painful for you, okay?
So is that one of the questions that most patients ask?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it going to hurt?
Very first question is it going to hurt? We tell them no. It's a little uncomfortable, but not pain.
Okay.
If it's painful, you let us know.
Gotcha.
Okay?
According to the National Cancer Institute, there are 2 types of mammograms. A screening mammogram is an X-ray of the breast used to spot breast changes in women who have no signs or symptoms of breast cancer. A diagnostic mammogram is an X-ray of the breast used to diagnose unusual breast changes such as lumps or pain. Try to schedule your mammogram 1 to 2 weeks after your period starts. On the day of your mammogram, do not use any lotion, perfume, deodorants, or powders. Remove all piercings and leave jewelry at home. Some women may find the pressure to be uncomfortable or painful. If you do, tell your technician immediately. The process lasts about 30 minutes.
You can step back, and that's all there is to it. And we just clean this. We're going to let you go ahead and in there and dress, and then we'll come in and give you instructions and show you how. Okay. We're going to go right this way to the right. At the end of this hall, we'll take a right.
And how long do they have to wait for their results, or how does that work?
24 to 48 hours if they have their MyChart account set up, which is the app for the hospital. They can see their whole report on there. If they don't have that, it'll be 5 to 7 days through the mail. And if it's abnormal, our nurse will contact you because she'll want to go over the test with you and explain your follow-up treatment and care from there.
Kind of molded and kind of shaped the direction that I went in as far as what I wanted to do when I grew up.
Next, we sit down with an expert to discuss fact versus fiction when it comes to this disease and what made him dedicate his life to fighting for the cause. With breast cancer, it's important to know what's fact versus fiction. I spoke with one area doctor. Here's his advice.
What is your role in a patient's journey?
So we provide the radiation portion of a patient's cancer treatment, and it is fairly integral in breast cancer patients. A significant proportion of breast cancer patients will receive radiation treatment during their journey.
So what are some common questions that you might get asked on a daily basis about it?
Well, I think from a radiation standpoint, I think the big concept is trying to get through the past, where treatments were so much more difficult, so much more side effects, and trying to address that is probably the number one discussed point in most of these meetings that we have, and it's trying to understand and let the patient know that things due to technology and modern science and research have changed so much that patients are literally coming in here, driving to their treatment, getting a radiation treatment, getting back in their car and going home and living their lives. And I think that's one of the bigger questions that we often get.
And when it comes to encouragement, right? Is there anything that you might say to try to encourage somebody? What do you do?
So for me, you know, I am someone who underwent a cancer diagnosis. So, you know, I think normally I think the basic premise is that, you know, I've kind of went through this long ago, and I came out of it, and things are even better now, 30 years later. And I think most patients are doing much better with the entire process. But most often what I usually tell the patients is that it's a journey. There's going to be some ups and downs, but we'll get you through.
Yeah, you just told me something that I didn't know before this interview. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about your journey.
So I had osteosarcoma, which is a pediatric bone tumor, when I was 14. So kind of molded and kind of shaped the direction that I went in as far as what I wanted to do when I grew up. So it's kind of a full circle story.
So any advice to women who might be going through this process right now?
That it's a long journey, and you need support, and you need your family, and you need, you know, the doctors, and you need a good support structure, and you will get through it. There's going to be some ups and downs, and it's all going to work out. Again, you have to just kind of go through it, and be positive and stay strong.
I'm so grateful to have came so far.
Coming up, a familiar face joins me to give an update on life and share a message to those still fighting. One of those new cases reported this year came from a woman right here in the YRAS.
I got the call, and I, asked my students to resume doing their work and let me take this very important phone call. So I stepped to the side, and the nurse like, Ms. Brown, we got the results back from your biopsy. You have breast cancer.
I'm joined now by Miss Shalana Brown. Shalana, it has been over a year since we last talked to you. You look different, you're glowing different. Tell us what has changed in the past year.
I rang the bell. It's February the 14th of 2024, which I was grateful to have made it through the process. It was challenging. By the grace and mercy of God, I made it through. And I've just been with family and friends, just trying to get used to get my health back in order, where I would like for it to be.
Right, and you just speak about getting your body back. How is daily life now? How is that adjustment?
It could be difficult. Daily life can be very difficult because some days my body is very sore, my muscles are very sore and weak, and some days I'm fine. And there's some days where I can't eat, and some days I'm great. So it's just a major adjustment, but I deal with it knowing that God is He's gonna be with me. He has yet to fail me.
Yes, ma'am. And there is this video of you ringing your bell, right? And right before you do, you say, I've waited so long to ring this bell. So what did that moment symbolize for you?
It symbolized a lot, because when I was in the hospital and I didn't think I was going to make it through, but I would pray and I would ask God to give me the strength, because I didn't have it, right? And I said, just even though I don't understand the place I'm in right now, just give me the strength so that I can overcome. And there were days where I would just lay in the bed just vomiting, right? And then I remember one time a nurse came in and I was so weak, she wanted to bathe me in the bed. And I said, no, ma'am, no, I'm going to get up from here in just a moment and I'm going to walk to this bathroom. I said, you just make sure you get a shower chair in front of that mirror and where the sink is, and I'm going to brush my teeth and wash my face. And then I'm going to get in the shower and take my own bath. And I prayed and I got up and I walked. And I got in that bathroom and I did just that, because I knew if I stayed in that place, then I would be allowing the enemy to take over my situation, when that was not going to be the circumstance. I was going to allow God and His Holy Spirit to help me.
And it's so amazing to see how strong you are now. A lot has changed, but a lot remains the same with you. I remember last year, you still had that sense of strength. Even when you were going through the process, you didn't have your hair, and you were still like, hey, I'm going to beat this. So what do you say to women who were in your shoes like you were last year?
If it's one thing I can leave a woman who's undergoing breast cancer right now, it's don't give up. Stay in the fight. You don't have to be strong. You don't have to even understand why you're here, but stay in the fight.
Stay in the fight. Miss Shalana, thank you so much for joining me again for this.
You're very welcome.
It blesses my heart to see your journey, so thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Stay informed, stay proactive, and support one another. I'm Beyla Walker. Thank you so much for joining us today for News 4's The Pink Plan. For more information on The Pink Plan, visit our website at WTVY.com.